Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the channel. So, before I bring to you these videos, I want to share a brief information about our channel and thank you guys for your support. We are now at 500 subscribers. Wow! Some drum rolls, guys, for that. Yeah, we are moving on so well, guys. And if you are a subscriber, thank you for this massive support that you have given to this channel. We are halfway to our milestone for getting monetized, guys, and we now have our membership packs, guys. There is a lot of messages, guys, that comes into the channel, and sometimes I'm not able to respond to them or even a single one, guys, because the challenges of being busy here and there. But guys, with our membership packs, if you choose a membership pack for just $1, I will have the priority. I'll have to prioritize your message and respond to your message. Don't let your message be lonely, guys. Subscribe to our membership packs. And thank you, guys. If you have not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribe today. So let's get to these videos, then I'll come back with a deeper analysis.
History and got a key part of it wrong. So let's get this straight. Their Arirang animation trailer was inspired by a real story. In 1896, 7 Korean students were connected to Howard University, and later, early recordings of Arirang were made in Washington, D.C., so that part is very real. But what is also very real is what Howard University actually represents. Howard was founded in 1867, right after the Civil War, specifically to educate Black Americans who had been denied access to education in this country. HBCUs exist because Black students were excluded from white institutions. That is not opinion, that is documented history. And in 1896, the same year tied to this story, the Supreme Court upheld segregation in Plessy versus Ferguson, legally enforcing a system that kept Black and white people separate under so-called separate but equal. So when you take Howard University in that time period and visually center white people in the audience, like they did in that trailer, you are not just being creative. You are distorting the historical context of a Black institution that existed because of segregation. So now let's be precise so nobody tries to twist this. Yes, Howard was technically open to all races, and there were white individuals present at times. That part is true, but that does not change the core truth. Howard was a historically Black institution built in response to systemic exclusion. So when the visual storytelling shifts that reality into something that looks racially neutral or white-centered, it erases the very reason Howard existed in the first place. So that is what people mean when they say whitewashing. And the other issue people need to stop dancing around is accountability. I do not care who animated it. If the group BTS is attached to a project that is grounded in real history, then they share responsibility for how that history is portrayed. You do not get to benefit from the aesthetic of Black history while ignoring the accuracy of it. Fans defending this are missing the point. This is not about attacking BTS. This is about respecting Black institutions and telling the truth when you use them in your art. Because if you're going to pull from real history, then you need to get the history right. Period.
So guys, basically what is happening in these videos is that some Latinos have come out, or the artist, the BTS group has come out to create a song or video that talks about Howard, which is historically known as being a HBCU college and university. That is, those are the colleges that accepted the Black Americans or the Black people that had been denied education, and they have come out to misrepresent it in a video, and the Black Americans are not happy about that, and they are sending in some strong messages to the Latinos that tried to do that. So guys, let's get their reactions, then I'll be back again with another deeper and
Y'all see the reactions of people upset at BTS and their animation of the Arirang album. At the beginning of the video, this is what it says. So this video is inspired by the story of 7 young Koreans as documented in the Washington Post on May 8, 1896. Parentheses, 7 Koreans at Howard, some of whom captured the first known audio recordings of Koreans in Washington, D.C. on July 24th of that same year. So here's a little bit of backstory on the 7 students at Howard. In 1896, a group of Koreans traveled to the U.S. and then ended up enrolled at Howard University in D.C. Howard University is a historically black college and university. You guys will have to think during 1896, black students and non-white students were not allowed into what we now refer to as PWIs, hence why HBCUs were so important to the black students. Now, these 7 students in particular are very notable in Korean history because they are to be known as like one of the early, if not the earliest, known Koreans in the U.S. education system. Now, some of them are also connected with the earliest known recordings of Korean music, or what they call arirang music. This is why BTS ties those 7 Korean students at Howard University to them now, basically paying homage to them and how they opened the doors for Korean music, Korean pop music to basically globalize because they were one of the first. Now, the reason a lot of people are upset at BTS and their trailer is because of this clip right here. This image is supposed to depict these 7 Korean students in 1896 on Howard University's campus. And the reason a lot of people are upset, there are 2 or 3 possibly sprinkling of black people. Majority of people that we're seeing on this HBCU campus is white. A lot of people are upset, saying this is actually historically inaccurate, and it's also watering down the importance of the HBCU. And then the other side of people are saying it's not that serious. Now, here are my thoughts on this. The whole history of these Koreans attending the HBCU is because the PWIs, as we know it, we're not allowing them in. And Howard, more specifically, we're one of the only universities that were allowing non-white people to attend. And if that is the main thing of this story, of these 7 students in the U.S. that were non-American, Korean students that came to the U.S. and was able to attend a university in America, and it is a HBCU, you should be depicting that in your animation. What's not clicking, Steven? Before y'all say, oh, well, maybe they didn't realize it's not that deep. No, they did. They did. This is notorious in Korean music and Korean culture. Lived in Korea for several years. This is what they've consistently done. They like black music or black culture. They understand the importance of it, but they need to water it down and then repurpose it and repackage it so that Koreans and white people will enjoy it. This is very intentional. Not showing a historically black university to have majority black students, especially in 1896, is very intentional. Don't give me that it's not that deep, because it is. If you're trying to act like, oh, the Koreans don't know, they do. They know exactly what they're doing.
White people are in black and Korean business again. Come on. Now, I'm not a big BTS fan. I know a couple songs here and there, but what I am is black and tired. I'm seeing people gaslight my favorite creators, making them feel crazy, saying, oh, this isn't serious. Well, to say that this isn't serious, you recognize how serious it is to that one person. But if you were able to stand back and see other people talk about how serious it is, wouldn't you fucking think? Now, are there also black people and Korean people that are saying that this is also not an issue? Yes, but at the end of the day, we are all people of color, and I don't believe in infighting because the real enemy is white supremacy. Now, in the sea of think pieces, I'm not going to do too much. You can go and actually find out why this is an issue on a historical level. But what I will say is this is my main irritation about multiculturalism without empathy, or AKA colorblindness. It's so interesting to me that we can talk about whitewash Howard.
No hate to BTS because I don't want to be found tomorrow, but the only reason those 7 Korean students were allowed to record that recording you're paying homage to is because the historically black HBCU, Howard University, and the black folks there allowed you on the premises. In an era where you weren't allowed in those white institutions, the black people accepted you and said, hey, yeah, record everything. And that recording is still in the archive there. And yet you depict Howard as a mainly white university? In what world? You have Google. Just search it up. It's God. My frustration comes from a place of solidarity. Look at the Oscars. Sinners depicted Chinese culture in such a masterful way. There are ways where black people and Asians can show solidarity to each other in an accurate way and in a loving way. But then the way we've allowed white mediocrity to slide for so many years, we cannot let ignorance overseas slide either. Oh, but they don't know any better. Stop acting like that. These are smart, grown men. These are businessmen at the end of the day. They know what they're doing. These are not your ooh little soft idol babies. Like, no, these are grown men who are more than capable of doing a Google search when they're trying to pay historical homage to anything. You should want to be accurate. And so depicting Howard University as a mainly white institution, in what world?
University in their trailer, yeah, I'm done. But someone else sees this video as a concept that pays homage to Koreans at an HBCU. They say it's a genius way to show the origins of K-pop that need to be unpacked. Okay, let's talk about the history. Here are the facts. The Library of Congress does have documents from 1896 that shows that American ethnologist Alice Cunningham Fletcher recorded several young Koreans singing a song that she labeled Love Song Ari Wrong. And WETA, that's the PBS station in Arlington, they have a project called Boundary Stone that does have documentation that 7 Korean students were enrolled at Howard University in 1896, and they apparently used to sing, and that drew a lot of attention on the campus. Now, BTS does admit in a statement that the production of this trailer, this animation, may deviate from actual historical events. They say this should not serve as a formal evaluation or interpretation of any historical events. But I don't know, do you think BTS should have added more black faces in this video since it was an HBCU campus in the late 1800s? Let us know in the comments. By the way, their tour this summer doesn't stop here in D.C., although you can see them in Baltimore.
Recently, BTS decided to pander to its white audience while telling a story about Black and Asian struggle, which was literally a result of white racism. The group released a 1-minute video for the song Arirang, which is one of the most well-known songs in Korea. So the group starts with the 7 BTS members and then shifts to 1896, where 7 Korean students are shown recording Arirang. However, the crowd is primarily white with Black people in the background, which is just completely historically inaccurate. 7 Korean students were actually there in 1896, but the reason that they were there is because they were not allowed to go to PWIs. Neither were Black people. That's why Howard was funded. It stayed that way until 1954 with the Brown versus Board ruling, which stated that children, no matter their race background, could go to the same school. But at the time, there would not have been white people. In fact, they wouldn't have even wanted to be there. We see this all the time with the popularizing of different cultures and histories. There's this need to appease white people and pander to them, reducing the white guilt that they feel. Overall, I think that this is just really disappointing, and I hope that they get a chance to reshoot the video or make some type of public statement addressing it, because this is just ridiculous.
But you're also racist? For decades, they've been excluding Black people from K-pop. And you thought that was going to stop at an HBCU? No, but in all actuality, this is much sadder than you think it is. The Korean students that attended Howard University did so because they had nowhere else to go. While every other school in the nation maintained racial barriers, Howard University accepted them. Black people accepted them. They weren't serving the racial hierarchy, they were serving the pursuit of knowledge. Instead of just straight up honoring Howard University and the HBCU and Black people that accepted them with open arms, they decided to make the very deliberate decision to depict Howard University as a predominantly white school.
So, guys, we are seeing this story unfolding like a cultural correlation, which is quiet at first, then suddenly loud enough that it can't be ignored. And it begins with admiration as Korean students, inspired by global pop culture and the influence of groups like BTS, step onto the grounds of historically Black colleges and university. And these spaces were built from struggle, resilience, and a long fight for identity. And to them, it is an opportunity, a dream, a chance to experience a culture they have admired from afar. But for many Black Americans, guys, something feels off with this. And the tension isn't about present, it is about portrayal. In online clips, student performances, and social media attributes, some Korean students appear to reenact what they believe is Black culture, shaped heavily by stylized images seen in the K-pop. Want to ask is this a problem? So, some of the people that are criticizing this situation argue that what's being mirrored isn't authentic Black history, but a polished, commercialized version of it, a version filtered through global entertainment, stripped of its deeper roots. And suddenly, admiration starts to look like imitation, and imitation starts to feel like erasure. And Black students and commentators begin to speak out, and their voices carry a mix of frustration and disbelief. For them, HBCUs are not just campuses, they are sacred places. So, guys, listen to what the Black Americans think about HBCU. Systemic inequality and still standing as pillars of cultural pride. Introduce that to choreography and aesthetics. One voice asks, that's not appreciation, but misrepresentation. And social media amplifies everything. Clips circulate, reactions pour in, and some are calm and educational, calling for a dialogue, for context, for understanding, and others are sharper, demanding accountability. The word apology begins to trend alongside calls for correction and cultural awareness in all these videos. But the situation isn't simple. The Koreans are students who feel misunderstood, who say their intentions were rooted in respect, not mockery. They point out to global nature of music, to how art crosses borders, to how BTS itself has spoken about self-love and social issues. They argue that they are not trying to rewrite history, but to connect with it. And yet, intent doesn't erase impact. For many Black Americans, history is not a trend, it is not a concept you can remix without consequence. It is lived, it is painful, and it is powerful. And what this movement reveals is something deeper than a single controversy. It exposes the fragile line between cultural exchange and cultural distortion. It asks a different question: who gets to tell a story, and how should it be told? And this is why they felt like this story should have been left for the Black Americans' character to tell this kind of story.